Yo, what's up, everybody? We are here for the Rocket Mortgage Classic. All your fantasy and golf news here on Fairway to Heaven starts in 60 seconds, guys. Stay tuned. All right, everybody. We are live here, Fairway to Heaven on the DSM Media Network, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Like, retweet, share, whatever platform you are watching on. If you want to get involved in the conversation, have your questions, thoughts, comments, anything address this show, best place to put your things is head over to the DSM Media YouTube page. Just type in the search bar DSM Media or Fairway to Heaven. It'll bring you right to the show. That is the best place to get involved with the show. Like these examples I'm just throwing up there on the screen that I pre-typed in there for y'all. I am Phil Stifer, your host. Make sure you shoot me a follow at Beard of Knowledge. Joining me back for the first time since Masters Week, Ricky Whittier at Fantasy Talk Show on Twitter. Welcome back, Ricky. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. I'm ready for the Rocket Mortgage. I'm excited. I've had a great stretch of golf here going on, so I can't wait to get back after it.
Absolutely. And you were saying before the show, you are now actually writing for sometimes for your friend's website. You want to shout out that website and let them anybody know where they can find your information there.
Yeah, my man D Prodigy, he's got his website going on. He's been grinding. He does all sports. So if you're a fantasy guy like us, and you want to see some more content, definitely shoot him a follow on Twitter, D Prodigy. Take a look at my Twitter as well, and I'll be retweeting his posts. You can take a look at his site and join his Discord as well, and I'll put a link to that in my Twitter as well, so that way we can get a big community going. So I'm excited. More outrights, more bets, more DFS. Let's go. Let's get going.
I love it. I love it. Speaking of outright, so funny thing today, we're going to get into the Rocket Mortgage here in a second, okay? What's up, Adam? How you doing tonight? Thanks for checking in. Funny post. I forget who posted on Twitter. And it was actually somebody I didn't follow, so the post made me follow them. And they said, who is your kryptonite? The guy that you just can't stop betting. And I'm like, I instantly knew my answer because it was Tony Finau. And I literally bet Tony Finau, played Tony Finau nonstop for 2 years. And I finally stopped playing Tony Finau a few weeks ago. And now guess what? Tony Finau's like winning 75 tournaments. Like, I need to know, Ricky, who is your kryptonite? The guy you can't get away from? That you're just gonna go down with the ship on. Because it should have been Ricky, or it should have been Tony Finau for me, but I bailed. And now I'm putting myself in the ass.
Yeah, honestly, I think my guy, contrary to this week, because we'll get into it later, but usually my guy is Willie Z.
Okay.
Willie Z is usually my guy that I'm like, I need to get in on this guy. Great irons. Putter is always volatile, but his game has just been so good since he's come up to the PGA Tour last year, and he's kind of been my guy in majors. So I would say Willie Z is my kryptonite, and he's still chasing that win. So
yeah, I mean, I used to have shirts made up and hats made up. They used to say 5th place Finau. But then when he won last August, I had to stop that and all. Now he's got 2 wins and multiple top like 3s in the last like 10 months, and I'm like, dude, why did I stop? Why did I stop? And yeah, that's even Tony Finau. Even this is a funny story here, Ricky. Tony Finau has screwed me so much in my betting life that last year when he was in the playoffs with Max Homa, I forget which event that was, when Max Homa won, I had an outright on Max Homa. But on that first playoff hole, Max Homa hits his tee shot up against a tree. So I cash out my bet for half the winnings. And then Tony Finau screws up so badly, Max Homa is able to still salvage that playoff hole. So Tony Finau screwed me so many times, I had to drop him from my as kryptonite for me. And now he's winning. And it just good for Tony Finau, but the guy just kicks my butt. I can't get him right. I just can't. But he looks like he's putting it together now, does he not?
Yeah, he's one of the hottest, if not the hottest. I think he leads the field in tee to green strokes gained in the field. So, and I think it's by a pretty large margin, if I'm remembering correctly. I think it's over half a stroke. So, yeah, I would say Tony Finau is probably the hottest golfer in the field on tour right now.
Yeah, and it's good. It's good. He's got a good personality for the tour. I think people do enjoy him. I mean, he doesn't do anything flashy. He's not like hitting 330-yard bombs out there, but he's a pretty entertaining golfer because you also do know that he could blow up and become very volatile. So, like, whether you're rooting for him to win or you're entertained by that blow up from a golfer, you can get both when you're watching Tony Finau. All right, so we'll get into Tony Finau a little bit more in a second. We got the Rocket Mortgage Classic with the Detroit Golf Club. It's a 7,300 approximately yard, par 72. It's one of those courses where bombers and short hitters both can have success at this course because you got wide fairways. You can hit the ball a ton here, but also the shorter guys, because it's not overly long, the shorter guys can still find some strong success. So when you're looking at a course like this, because most courses you're either a bomber has success at or the shorter hitters that are more accurate. When you have both, what are you looking at when you're building your models or writing your stats up for the type of golfer? How do you differentiate between both those things?
Yeah, I mean, I think this course has shown that anyone can have success here as long as they're rolling the rock. I think strokes gained putting is one of the most important things here. Whether you hit it 310 yards off the tee and then you get a 70-yard wedge shot going in, or if you hit it 250 yards off the tee and you got 140 yards going in. It all depends on how well you roll the rock, you birdie your better percentage. And I think those two stats are going to be pretty indicative of who wins and who contends this week.
Yeah, putting. I mean, I think this year, I don't know, how many weeks have we had since the start of the season at the Century Tournament Champions? I don't know. A lot of golf.
Yeah.
I've had putting in my model 2 other times all year, weighted actually. So, like, I've had it twice at 5%. The rest of the time, I always put it in my model, but at 0%. So you can look off to the side and see, we are talking golf. Yes, this is a football, a basketball, a baseball network, but we also talk golf, fantasy and gambling golf. So if you want to make some money this week, you pay attention and you'll get some information on how to win some money this week. I've actually got putting 10% weighted this week.
Ooh.
That is how important I think I mean, I know it sounds so tiny, 10% of a model, but for me, a guy that doesn't care about putting whatsoever almost every single week, I'm weighing at 10% this week because I think it's that important this week because everybody's going to be hitting the greens. Everybody's going to be hitting the fairways or having a decent opportunity at hitting the green from the rough. Putting is going to come down. You don't want the weeks that you hear the team no putt. That's not the week you want. Not at all. Last 36 rounds, Denny McCarthy, Bo Hostler, Patrick Rogers, Ryan Gay, and Hadley. They're your top putters. You got to go all the way down to Kevin Kisner at 6 to find one of the top guys on the putting board here. Am I crazy for weighing putting that much this week?
No, I mean, I think like you nailed it on the head there. Everyone's going to get to the green. It just depends on how many strokes it's going to take to get you in. And this place is a birdie fest. It's going to be a birdie fest all week. It's going to be a lot of fantasy scoring. So if you get a guy defending champ, Cam Davis, I wonder why he put up as many fantasy points as he did, because he could roll the rock and he hit it well. So I think that's pretty indicative, like I said, of who's going to contend.
So you say Cam Davis won last year. I mean, so this event has been happening here at the Detroit Country Club 3 years now in a row. And I'm curious because at first I was initially looking at, some history, what guys, because even though it's only 3 years, guys that have made the cut 2 or 3 times or guys that have had multiple top 20, top 25 finishes. But if you look at it, Cam Davis won last year, but missed the cut 2 years prior.
Yep.
You've got guys, Adam Hadwin has a missed cut, a 4th place. Ryan Armour, a fourth place, a miscut. Troy Merritt, a second, an eighth, a miscut. So even the guys that perform well here have had some inconsistent results. There's very few guys that have made multiple cuts here / had great finishes here. So are you taking into account past history at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not something you can ignore completely. I mean, it's a birdie fest, and guys that know the greens have played them multiple times. They're going to have advantage over debutants, and I mean, it's not something like the Masters where it's the same course and you're going to need experience on it. Like you can come there first time, and as we said, you can hit it anywhere on the course, and as long as you can roll the rock, you're going to be fine. So I think there is some importance to it, but I don't think you should base your lineups based off of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the top 10 in shots gained total at this event the last 3 years. The top 10 in there, 4 of them have missed the cut one time, and one guy, Nate Lashley, missed the cut twice. So where last year's champion won it after missing 2 cuts, Nate Lashley won it and then missed 2 cuts. So yeah, I think you got to I guess you got to judge it a little bit, but it can't be your end all be all at all this week. All right, so I just want to real quick let you know. I mean, I always talk about it all the time. My model over on fantasynational.com, partner with the show. Make sure you check them out, fantasynational.com, and go hit them up on Twitter at fantasynational. If you like their product and you want to check them out and you sign up for something, just send them a little message on Twitter. Hey, heard about them on Fairway to Heaven right here on DSM Media. Do that. So I built my model this week, and I normally stick to about 7 items or 7 stat categories that I weigh. I think there's a lot to weigh this week, and I have gone, by putting putting in there and stuff like that. I've got a pretty bold model this week, Ricky. I've got 10 different stat categories in my model this week. It's a lot. It really is, and I don't know if this bold strategy is going to pay off or not. But I do have 40% of my model between approach and good drives gained. So that's what I'm starting with as my top 2 categories. I don't know about your thoughts on those 2 categories, or on the fact that I've got so much in my model. But I also got birdies are better at 10%. I got shot gains total always. I got the 100 to 125 and the 125 to 150 proximity, because you're going to have a lot of short second shots. So you want guys that can handle the short irons. Obviously, the 4 par 5s you have to score on, so I put that in there. Put a lot of weight in ball striking, shorter par 4s, and putting. Obviously, I said 10%. Am I crazy with this bold strategy this week? Because obviously my bold strategy last week completely bombed.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting because, like you said, there's so many varieties of finishes here, right? You got the people who win, you got the people who miss the cut, you got the people who do both. So I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it, and I personally think a lot of it goes into birdie or better, putting, and then, as you said, good drives gained. I think those are going to be the most important things. But I definitely can understand why you branch out so much, because there's a lot that goes into it. And at the end of the day, we just got to find people who roll the rock, get birdies, and can win.
Right, cool. Well, let's look at the top of the card. We got 4 guys in the 10K range this week. You got Cantlay at the top at 10-7. You got last week's winner 10-6, Tony Finau. You got Willie Z back in the field, and you got Cam Young. We obviously have a much. I mean, it's crazy. It's still a pretty weak field, but compared to last week's field, it's so much deeper. Tony Finau, number 1 in my model at 10-6. He's going to be one of the higher, owned guys this week. You got, like I said, Young, Zalatoris, Finau, Cantlay. Do you go back to the well with Tony Finau right after winning last week?
Yeah, see, I think that's going to be a very interesting conversation this week for a lot of people, because I don't think Tony Finau is going to be the most owned golfer, as a lot of people think, because a lot of people are going to think, well, he won last week, so he's not going to do it again. But you have to remember, he's the hottest golfer in the field. He's leading tee to green all throughout the field. So, why not go back to the guy who's hitting it well? I don't assume that he's going to have a win hangover on the 3M Open. It's not like it's a huge event. I mean, it's a great event, but it's not an event where, it's not like you won a major.
Right.
But, you look at a guy like Cam Young, who's coming off a great finish at the Open Championship, took last week off. And I think that's really good, because I think he needed a week off, because that's where I would see some sort of hangover. If Cam Young had come right back and just gone into the 3M Open, I would have faded him last week. But he took that week off, got recovered, got his emotions back under. And me and a lot of people will be taking Cam Young this week because he fits the mold really, really well.
That's interesting. I got Cam Young right now. So again, these ownership percentages are from Fantasy National, and you always have to add a couple percents to it because it's Tuesday night, 8:00 right now. There's still so much calculations for them to do. So if you're concerned about a player on ownership, you got to wait till Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening to really judge where they're at. Cam Young. So in the top 10K, Cantley is the leader in ownership percentage right now at 18%. Not overall, but in that 10K. And Cam Young's at 17%. Tony Finau's only at 13.1 right now.
Yeah.
So that kind of goes to show where people are looking right now in that range. And I won't lie. I mean, maybe it's because of I don't know. I'm looking at him. Cam Young finished 19th in my model this week. And the model, you take it with a grain of salt. You got to kind of dissect your model when you make a model because some of the information could be skewed. But I kind of was staying away from Cam Young, the chalk in this top range, and I really do want to go back to playing Tony Finau this week. I don't know if he's going to win, but if you're telling me Tony Finau at 10-6 is only going to be 13, all right, say it goes up a little bit, say it gets to 15%, the upside of where Tony Finau will finish at 15% compared to Cam Young at 20%, I don't think there's much of a difference between the two of them. And I think that 4 or 5% ownership difference makes me want to stick towards Tony Finau.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get it. Tony Finau, like we said, is the hottest guy on the tour right now, and doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. So the only thing you got to wonder with Cam Young is can he hit those wedge shots close enough for him to be able to drop the ball? In
this field in the 125 to 150 proximity. In the last 36 rounds, he ranks 111th in this field.
Yeah.
In that short proximity. So that's kind of scary. He's going to have a lot of short shots. He's going to, and if he can't hit them, he's going to have a lot of 2 putts, a lot of 3 putts. And where's his putting? His putting's 44th in the field. Not bad, but when you have a lot of long putts, that can't be good. So I'm kind of off the Cam Young train this week, and I almost feel like Tony Finau. You can even, I know you said he's your kryptonite to an extent. Will Zalatoris. I mean, last 36 rounds, he's number 1 on approach, number 1 birdies are better, number 1 ball striker, second shots gained total, third in the 350 to 400 par 4 proximity scoring, 9th par 5 scoring. There's a lot to like about Will Zalatoris, and I honestly haven't heard one podcast talk about Will Zalatoris. Everybody goes to Cantley because he's the top guy. Everybody goes to Finau because he's, coming off the win. Everybody talks Cam Young because of how he did at the Open. Is this the week that Will Zalatoris breaks through maybe? Because we all keep waiting for that moment when he gets his first win. I don't know. I haven't bet Will Zalatoris, but I kind of like Will Zalatoris this week to make a charge for that first win.
Yeah, I mean, he, like you said, he's got all the stats for it. The only thing that concerned me when I first was looking at the field is he plays very well in majors.
Yes.
Very well in high competitive fields. The only thing that kind of spooks me is he missed the cut at the Charles Schwab. Not a great strong field there. Missed the cut at the Byron Nelson. Again, not a strong field. So how invested is Will Zalatoris this week, knowing that he's in the FedEx Cup playoffs already? He has plenty of points he's in. So how motivated is he, after finishing T28 at the Open? Obviously kind of disappointing there, but
that's not where I thought you were going to go. I thought you were going to bring up his awful putting numbers. So,
well, I mean that too, but I mean, if you want an approach, it's hard to really,
talk about how great of a putt, how important putting is, and then you bring up one of the worst putters in the field as one of my favorite plays. I kind of contradicted myself right in the first 20 minutes there of the show. So I think what you're saying though about him not getting up for these big events, I think he hears that. And I'm hoping his desire to win helps maybe motivate him. Whether you win the Barracuda Open or the Masters, getting that first win is important no matter where it is. And I'm hoping he's hearing, because people have been talking a lot the last 3, 4, 5 weeks about Will Zalatoris not winning. I see some of the great content on golf betting out there. and everybody's saying, stop betting Will Zalatoris. He's never won. He might never win, or he might not win for 5 more years. I think he's starting to hear those things. I'm hoping that maybe helps him turn the corner. I'm not going to bet him, but I'm thinking if I start my lineups with Finau or Will Zalatoris, I'm going to be a pretty confident, pretty happy guy.
Yeah, it would be my luck that Will Zalatoris would get his first win on a week where I'm standing off of him because of a thing like motivation, where it's all really, like, who knows what he's actually thinking, right? I mean, this is all me assuming based off of his previous results at lower strength fields. So anything can happen in golf. It's DFS, it's betting, it's crazy stuff. So I could see it.
All right. So last week, I faded the entire 10K range. I had one play, Adam Hadwin, in the 9K range, and then I loaded up on 7K guys. So I'm trying to get back to normal, having a more flexible lineup. So I want your thoughts, because one of my favorite plays this week, but also the chalk of the week. So he's still a question mark in my mind. Max Homa at the top of the 9K range. Right now, Fantasy National has him as the highest guy, 20%, 19.9%, whatever it is, 20% basically. What are your thoughts on Max Homa, but also using the number one owned guy in your player pool? That's more like where the question needs to go. Do you take the super, super, super top of the board chalk unless you think he can win? Because that's where I'm kind of stuck there right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, if we're looking at his recent results, I mean, he missed the cut at the Open Championship, but I'm not going to hold that really over his head. He was playing with Tiger Woods, who he's been vocal about him being his hero, right? Yep. The fact that he only missed the cut by 1 stroke. So the fact that he was able to put all that aside, all the fanboying aside, and actually play 2 pretty good rounds of golf. I mean, he shot +1 at the old course, which isn't bad. It just shows how on his game is right now. I mean, he had T5 at the Memorial, put a T47 at the U.S. Open, which wasn't outstanding, but obviously he had the win back at Wells Fargo. So we know he has win equity, and I'm completely okay with going to a guy like Max Homa now that the distractions are gone. Max Homa is still popular, but, no one's like, oh, my God, Max Homa can go win a major, because a lot of people were betting him last week.
I had him.
At the Open. Open, a lot of people were betting him. And I stayed off of that only because I knew he'd be distracted by Tiger, but he still almost made the cut. So I think his game's on right now, and I think he's certainly a great play this week.
So actually, I want to backtrack to that real quick, because this is more, we're going to take a side little tangent here, guys. And I want you guys to listen in on this, because I got Jason's thoughts on it, and I got my thoughts on it last week after the Open Championship. I don't know what you saw, but when the first set of odds came out for the Open Championship, Max Homa was 90-1. And it dropped a little bit down to 80-1. I'm like, oh, Max Homa, 80-1. Smash that. Got right on that outright bet there. And that was before he even talked about the distraction of Tiger Woods and all. Do we not give, as bettors of golf, the bookies enough credit? Like, it's almost like it happens almost every week. We find a guy that's mispriced. We all jump all over him, and then he doesn't make the cut. Bookies are a lot smarter than we give them credit for, I think. And sometimes I think if a number is too good to be true, and then it drops really fast, because he went from 90-1 to 80-1, right down to 40-1 within like 3 hours. Do we need to really because I for the most part, I wait till Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday morning to make my bets. I want to see where the odds fall, not just jump on a fun number just because the number kind of doesn't make sense. What are your thoughts on that? Because me and Jason were both on the side where these bookies get paid to set these lines. You know what I mean? That's why the books always win in the end. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good point. I think, obviously if they put out, really high numbers every week and we were just destroying them, they wouldn't be in business, right? I mean, they're smart people. They know what we're thinking. And, honestly, they might have me this week, because I've got on my betting card right now, I've got 3 guys in triple digits right now, which is way more than I normally would bet in triple digits. But, a couple caught my eye, and, maybe I'm donating to the bookies. Maybe the bookies are giving it back to me for being smart. Who knows? But at the end of the day, they're in business for a reason because they're smart. And I don't think, I mean, I don't know how fast the odds dropped. Like when the odds dropped, were the groups already named, or was it just
I don't
massively
remember.
bet?
I don't know if the groups had made, but
Yeah.
when the odds dropped, then he. So I wasn't watching the live press conferences.
Yeah. Okay.
The time zone changed, but once people started talking about on Twitter about his comments about playing with Tiger, the odds have already dropped.
Yeah.
So maybe there was a little time zone difference change there. Maybe that interview was a little before we were awake and stuff like that. But the odds dropped fast.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's one thing if like last week, dude, I got this weird fascination with Sean O'Hare. He'll be on my playing card again this week. You know, he was 200-1 last week, but he deserved to be 200-1. You know what I mean? Max Homa did not deserve to be 80-90-1. But it was kind of like the bookies knew, and they tricked us. And I think sometimes when it's too good to be true, fade the bet.
Yeah, now you're starting to scare me a little bit this week. So let's
we'll get to it. I don't know who you're talking about. That's too good to be true. We'll get to that. All right. So I got 3 other names in my 9K range right now. So I want to know if any of these guys are on your card or your thoughts on these guys. First, with a question mark, is Cam Davis, the defending champ. I'm not a big fan of betting defending champions. It's really hard to win the same event 2 years in a row. But he does obviously know this course because he won. He's got semi-high ownership at about 16%. And Cam Davis is a different golfer than he used to be. I mean, 16th last week, 8th at the John Deere, 7th at the Charles Schwab. Hasn't missed a cut since the Wells Fargo. And still gained strokes on approach off the tee, putting even in that missed cut. 3rd at the RBC this year. He's a different golfer. And then I got Keegan Bradley, and I got Kevin Kisner is one of my favorite. He might be, so since we last did a show together, I have something called my all-in play. An outright bet plus number 1 or number 2 on most clicked usage guy. Kevin Kisner might be my all-in play this week. I love Kevin Kisner this week. What are your thoughts on those 3 guys, and does one stand out more than the others?
Yeah, I really like Cam Davis. You know, as you said, he's had some really great results recently, and they've been in similar strength fields to this, which is really exciting because you know that even if he doesn't compete at majors just yet, he can be at the top of the crop when it comes to these lower fields. And we say lower fields, and we have Patrick Cantlay, Tony Finau, Will Zalatoris, and Cam Young. But, you know, and after those, you know, top 5, 6 guys, you know, it kind of drops off pretty fast. So I think that Cam Davis, knowing that he's won last year, we've seen 3 repeat winners this year. So it's not like it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen often, like you said. So I really like Cam Davis in a DFS state, and he's honestly one of my first round leader bets as well. So I do like him to come out fast. We'll see if he's able to sustain the 4 rounds because he has been playing a lot of golf. But I do really like Cam Davis there at 9.7 as a pivot off of Homa. And then Keegan Bradley's kind of the guy that I'm waiting to see on ownership because Keegan Bradley, if he is like 7 to 10% owned and is a huge pivot off of those 2 guys, I may be going in for a Keegan Bradley week. I know we talked about not playing guys who are on Team No Putt, but Keegan Bradley, man,
he's kind of not on Team No Putt anymore.
He's picked it up.
Yeah.
He used to be the star of Team No Putt, but he's definitely picked it up.
In this field, in the last 36 rounds he's played, he's 18th in putting.
That's a crazy turnaround.
He was the 111, 115. All right, so ownership percentage. So real quick, Max Homa, 19.5. Yeah. Cam Davis, 16.5.
Yeah.
Keegan Bradley's at 10.8 right now.
Yeah. Okay. See, that's exact 7 to 10%. Just what I was hoping for. So right he's a great pivot. And honestly, I don't know the ownership on Kisner, and I know you'll tell me in a second, but I feel like he's picked up a lot of steam.
It has. He went from yesterday afternoon when I built my model till now, he went from 7% to 10.3%. So at that trajectory, he might finish at 12%, maybe 13%. Yeah. I still like Kisner's putting ability. I still like the fact that he's playing great golf, 6 at the Travelers, almost cracked the top 20 at the Open. I know he missed a bunch of cuts there.
I was going to say, what did he do before that?
He had a bunch of mid cuts, but he's also, if you're going to take anything into account in past history at this event, He was 8th last year, 3rd the year before, 46th the year before that. So he's made the cut all 3 times here and twice finished in the top 10. So
Yeah.
he knows this course really well. And maybe I'm putting a little bit too much weight into his history here, but you're trying to talk me out of my top play. Damn it.
I'm not trying to talk you out of it, man. I'm not. I want you to
Well,
stick
35 to 1.
with.
The 35 to 1 is bet. There's no. I don't pull bets back. I don't pull bets back. So the 35 to 1 is set. Now instead of 12 out of 20 lineups, he might now be an 8 or 9 because you're talking him down. You might
okay. Hear me out though. If we're looking at the player pool in that price range, if we're looking at cuts made, there is a drastic difference between Kevin Kisner and everyone around him.
Absolutely.
So my worry is, yes, he could certainly be the guy who top 25s, but is that going to be enough at his price point? The price point is what I'm worried about. If he was 8.5, I'd be all over him. The fact that he's in the 9K range next to Mav McNeely, one of the best birdie or better players in the field, Keegan Bradley, another one who's made a lot of improvement on putting, as we talked about, defending champ, $600 more. I mean, there's just a lot around him that I think I would rather get to. And then obviously we got $200 underneath him, Denny McCarthy, which is not my favorite play, but he is certainly one of my favorite in terms of salary. But we'll get there in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, you make great points. And your whole talking about his price point is very, very interesting to me. And I really do. We talk about the odds. The price point is just as important as the odds for sure. So that makes a lot of sense. Do you like any of these other guys in the 9K range? We didn't mention Adam Scott. Oh,
why is Adam Scott playing? Like, that's my question. He plays major championships, the Memorial, and then let's just throw on the Rocket Mortgage for fun.
Yeah,
like I'm just confused on what his, like, again, with, like, I talked Will Zalatoris motivation. Like, what is Adam Scott's motivation here? Like, he has, I mean, is he in danger of missing the playoffs? I don't think so, right?
I don't think so. I mean, he's had some really good finishes this year, so I doubt it.
He hasn't played a ton of events, but
I'm surprised Adam Scott he was one of the guys that I thought would join the Live Tour.
Yeah.
And he hasn't yet. So, I mean, he's got a 4th this year, a 26, a 32, a 14th, a 15th, both the majors. So, I mean, he's not in danger of missing the start of the playoffs at all. So, I don't get it. So, is he just trying to play 1 or 2 more PGA Tour events before he joins the Live Tour? I don't know.
Who knows, man? But I think that's keeping me off of Scott, even though I think that's going to be everyone's thought this week. Because I think he'll probably be like 5 to 7% owned because of that.
He's listed at 10-2 right now on Fantasy National.
Wow, that's surprising to me. I think that'll drop.
All right. Let's get in this 8K range because you bring up Maverick McNeely, the 8K. Sorry, yeah. I love that. I love that you brought up Maverick McNeely because I think he's a great option at 8,800, 13%, a little higher than the Keegan or the Kisner at 10%. But I think you get a higher ceiling and not as quite as low of a floor with Maverick McNeely. So that's the name that I first looked at in this range. I put 2 stars next to his name, not 1.
Ooh.
I also put a question mark because it's Matt McNeely. Matt McNeely's been known to burn us a few times this year. So why did you like Matt McNeely so much?
Yeah, I mean, Matt McNeely just has that birdie or better percentage that really pops out to me. When he's hot, he's really hot. I mean, this guy stacks up birdies. He'll get you the streak bonus. He'll just go. And the last recent events, I mean, outside, if you look at the last 2 holes he had last week, he shot +5 in the last 2 holes of the week. He would have had T26, I believe, if he didn't hit it in the water. I think he hit in the water twice on 18, if I'm not mistaken. I know he had a quad. I just don't remember how he did it exactly.
Someone hit the ball in the water 3 times on the same hole last week. I don't know if that was McNeely or not.
Yeah, I don't remember, but no, that was Hideki. That was Hideki.
Oh, yeah, that was round 1 Hideki. That's right,
yeah. That was my guy.
That was his big cup moment.
But Matt McNeely definitely has been playing great recently, but we haven't seen him pop yet. Right. He's had the good finishes, but we haven't seen the Maverick McNeely pop event yet, and this one certainly could be it because it's the birdie or better, sort of event. He's not going to be as chalky as he normally would be in this type of event because we've got guys like Cantlay, Cam Young, Sal Torres, guys like that. So I could certainly see him coming out. He's made 19 of 22 cuts this year, so he's been as safe as a Maverick McNeely has ever been on the PGA Tour. So honestly, I'm cool with playing him over the couple guys around him outside of Denny McCarthy.
That's what I want to say. Denny McCarthy's a guy number 1 in putting, and around his missed cut at the Travelers, he's got a 5th, 6th, and a 7th. And amongst outside of his missed cut at the Travelers, he hasn't missed a cut since the Phoenix Open.
Yeah,
but that one missed cut at the Travelers, was bookended by a 5th, 6th, and a 7th. Denny McCarthy's also 3% lower than Matt McNeely at this point.
Oh, jeez. Am I going to lose all my money on Denny McCarthy this week? Oh, jeez.
I mean, I thought of everything that you thought of with Matt McNeely. Then I saw $100 more for Denny McCarthy at 3% less. His recent form, he's had some results here before. I don't know how you don't play Denny McCarthy more than Matt McNeely.
Yeah, we'll have to see where the ownership lies with that because I might be putting a lot of money on Denny McCarthy here this week. I'm not betting him. I'm not betting him.
I did not bet him either. So I did not. I bet 2 guys in this 8K range, but I did not bet Matt McNeely or Denny McCarthy. I just thought that he's not awful. He's 33rd and birdies are better in the last 36. That putting number, just being number 1 in putting in a tournament that putting is going to be so crucial. And I just don't know how I get off of Denny McCarthy this week.
Yeah, I think between Denny and Mav, I think those are the 2 guys that are going to get my most attention in this range. Just looking at the rest of the guys. I know there's a couple guys below them that are interesting, but I think I'm taking a stance this week, and I don't know what your thoughts are on them, but I'll let you get into them.
There's one name I want to ask you your opinion on, but because
I think I already know who it is, but let's hear it.
I want to see if you can guess. What name? Give me your name.
Is it Mr. Simpson?
No. Simpson's terrible. He's an awful golfer at this point. So last week we talked about Davis Riley. Has he peaked?
That was my second guess.
Has he? He's still high owned. He's still getting high prices and stuff like that. But at his stretch of 5th and 9th and 4th, he's gone miscut 64th and 31st in his last couple events. Did Davis Riley peak this year and needs to go back to the drawing board in the offseason?
Honestly, I'm going to say no. Okay. And here's why. The T31 is at a U.S. Open. The U.S. Open is by far the most difficult field that Davis Riley will play in a long time. I mean, and look what he did at the Memorial, too. I mean, T13 in that field, too.
But he missed the cut at the 3M Open.
And that was – so he missed the cut at the 3M Open. But everyone was hyping him up. I think it kind of got in his head. I think he was like, oh, my God, everyone expects me to do this thing. Because, remember, he's a rook, so he's still got to get the mental game going. So I think now that everyone's kind of calmed down on Davis Riley since he missed the cut, I think, what did he miss it by? 1 stroke, 2? He shot +2. So I think the cut line.
We said last week he peaked before he missed the cut. We said he peaked last week on the show. So, it's kind of like he kind of proved us right by missing the cut. So.
Yeah, well, if you think so, that's just more money coming my way. No, no, I think between him and Sahith, I think Davis Riley has more upside at this point because I think Sahith has peaked.
Okay.
So there we go. There's our kind of battle there.
So because I am not playing Sahith Theegala in any DFS lineup, but I did bet him 40-1. Because I think his ceiling to floor is so he's going to either miss the cut or he can win his first event. Davis Riley, but also Theegala, if you look at it, Theegala he's projected at 9%. Riley's still at 15%. You know what I mean? People aren't getting off of Riley as much as they've gotten off of Theegala.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They both do some things really well. They both do some things really bad. I think if I don't know what the odds were on Davis Riley this week. You could bet either one of them. I don't think either one of them are good DFS plays this week.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm much more interested in Denny and Mav and maybe Tringale, but I don't know. I bet Tringale first round leader. But that I think that might be it in terms of what I get to Tringale this week. But yeah, this 8K range
you brought up Webb Simpson. What were your thoughts on Webb Simpson there?
The only reason I brought up Webb Simpson was because he's kind of the name that sticks out in this kind of price range, right? Like if we think back to, guys who have been successful on the PGA Tour, I mean, Webb Simpson's the guy, right? And this is the stretch of golf where Webb actually cares, right? Like he named his child Wyndham Championship coming up next week. So obviously we know he's going to play that. So I think the very important thing to kind of determine this week is he just using this week as a tune-up for next week, or is he actually trying to put together a good performance so that way when he goes into Wyndham next week where he cares, will we see vintage Webb? And this course does set up nicely for him. I mean, it's all based on keeping it in the middle and putting your wedges close and putting. Webb Simpson is a great wedge player, and he can roll the rock when he's healthy. And I think he's starting to get there, but has he played enough golf to really find that? I don't know. So I bet him outright at 50-1, but I think I'm going to fade him in DFS.
50-1. Maybe you would intrigue me at Webb Simpson at like 65, 70-1. I don't know.
I only put $2 on him though, so it was light.
That would be like a double bet for me. All right, I'm intrigued, and I'm so confused because when I first started my research last night, then I checked this morning, and then I checked this evening before the show. The last three names: Russell Henley, Gary Woodland, and Mark Hubbard. I thought they all presented some value and some opportunities. I did bet Russell Henley just as a precursor here, 55-1. But their ownership percentages. So first off, Henley finished second in my model. Woodland finished 10th in my model. Hubbard finished 8th in my model. All for different reasons, okay? But the ownership percentage is what's intrigued me, okay? Gary Woodland's been the lowest owned the entire time. He was at like 7% yesterday when I first did it. He's down to 4%. Russell Henley was closing in on 14% yesterday evening. He's down to 10%. Mark Hubbard barely was touching 10%. He was like 10-1. Now he's 13-5. So everybody's mind is changing constantly on these three guys. And I might just play all three of them and just put a few of each of them together. But I don't know. The constant change in the ownership's tricking me to an extent. Like, I don't know which way to go with these guys.
Yeah. See, I was very intrigued on Henley at first because, honestly, usually Henley is a very talked about guy in terms of DFS playing, but no one's been talking about him for months, and it's because he hasn't finished top 25 in 4 months.
Yeah, no, I agree.
He's fallen off, and it's crazy to me because he used to be a guy that we'd bet on him at 30-1 or 25-1 at some points, depending on the field size, and now I don't even know if I want to touch him at 8,200 in a field like the Rocket Mortgage because he hasn't shown me any upside. I mean, look at the last 5 events he's got. He's got a T62 at the Open, so he made the cut and then did nothing with it. U.S. Open, he missed the cut. PGA, T60. Wells Fargo was his best finish out of the 5, and it was T41, and then he missed the cut at RBC. So there's nothing really that excites me about him. Is my problem.
He hasn't played a lot.
I mean, yeah, he's made 15 to 17 cuts, but he's got 2 top 10s on the year out of the 15 cuts made. So his upside is just not there. Like his best finish this season, I feel like is probably, at the Sony back in January where he finished second, and they had a T13 at the Players in March, but since then he hasn't had better than top 30.
Yeah, I mean, I get exactly what you're saying, and that's why he's bet. Because, and not necessarily in my lineups, because, look, I mean, he's a really good approach player. He's a really good ball striker. He makes birdies. when he's playing, but he hasn't played a lot. I mean, his last 2 events were the last 2 majors, and that's what. And this is where I mean, sometimes I bring these names up for certain reasons. This is where your model could be skewed a little bit. Russell Henley's not playing top 5 even in a model, but because he doesn't play much, he's rating out really well in this model, and that's also probably why his ownership has gone from 13-14% down to 10%. And there's a really good chance that by tomorrow afternoon, he might be down to 9 or 8% even. So what about Woodland and Hubbard then? I mean,
Woodland
I've been a big fan of Gary Woodland. I keep trying to say he's back from all his injuries and he misses a cut here or there.
Yeah.
Woodland, I want to cheer for Gary Woodland all the time. But then something, it's like my cheering for him skews me on my opinion on him.
Yeah, Gary Woodland's interesting because he either misses a cut or he puts up a top 25. Like, there's not really much in the mid or top 30. Sorry, top 30. So it's just you kind of know by Friday afternoon what kind of Gary Woodland we're getting this week. I mean, obviously we found out early at the Open he was out, and U.S. Open. Obviously we knew, oh crap, Gary Woodland could actually win, and then he, shot the 73 on Friday and kind of took him not out of it, but. But I think Gary Woodland is a guy that I would rather live bet than play in a DFS lineup or, play in.
He's a showdown type guy.
Yeah. I think you nailed it right with that. And then Mark Hubbard is like, he would rate out pretty well at the course, I feel like, but he doesn't play in very difficult fields. So it's really hard to see how talented he is because a lot of his shots gained numbers are at events like the Barracuda and the Bermuda, Corrales, those kind of events. So, even though his numbers might look really good in a model, we're also comparing him to guys who play in the U.S. Open and in the Open Championship and in the Masters. So Mark Hubbard is just a guy that's hard to get a read on, but I think he excites me more than the other 2 guys.
Yeah, no, I think Mark Hubbard, like I said, I have a bet on Henley. I might have actually been convinced to even just keep a star next to Woodland to see what his live.
Yeah, I agree.
Are. But Mark Hubbard, I kind of put Mark Hubbard in that Denny McCarthy range. I'm excited to play him in a DFS purpose. I don't think he's a guy that's going to miss the cut. And at his price and his ownership, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's been 7 tournaments since he's missed a cut. 8 of the last 9 he's made. 8 of 10, 9, 11, 12, 13. He's only missed 2 cuts since the Farmers Insurance. And he's played a lot of events. And he's got 3 top 15s. He's got a lot of top 30s. I think if he stays under that 13, if it keeps trending upward, if he stays in that 10 to 13 range, I think you get some decent value at $8K on Mark Hubbard.
Yeah, I mean, I like Hubbard's results. I mean, the recent ones have been kind of iffy. The T46, the T44. I don't know if that'll pay you off at 8K, but if he has like a T29, T25, T12, something like that.
I think he's got to finish top 25 to pay off.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, and the T13 at the John Deere, that would have certainly done it. Barbasol and Barracuda certainly would have done it. So yeah. I think he's in a good spot with this game right now, and it's just going to be interesting to see if he can compete with a guy like Patrick Cantlay or Will Zalatoris. But Like we said, though, the field drops off pretty fast. So I don't mind Hubbard. Absolutely.
All right. Let's get into the 7K range here.
This one will take a while.
Yeah, it'll take a while. I mean, I got a lot of names, but I'm not going to pull last week and play like every single name and play every single name heavily this week in the 7K range. But before we get into names, like I'm not a big fan of him this week. I don't think it's worth it. But Siwoo Kim is a guy that last year I was a big Siwoo Kim fan.
Mm-hmm.
And surrounding 3 missed cuts, he's got a 13th and a 15th place. So he's got 13th, 3 missed cuts, and a 15th. Is Siwoo Kim ever going to get back to last year's level? I mean, it's 2nd places, 8th places, 11th place, 9th place, 9th place. I mean, Siwoo Kim was a really good up-and-coming golf. Well, I don't even want to say up-and-comer. He played really good golf last year. And this year, it's been all over the board. And then I see his really good finish at the Open, and I'm like, is he back? But then I don't know. I don't think he is.
The tough thing with Siwoo Kim is I feel like he's another guy like kind of like Will Zalatoris. Like he's a gamer in a major or in a tough field event. I don't know if he's really cut out for these, not so important events because, he missed the cut at the Byron Nelson, he missed the cut at the Travelers. Well, Travelers wasn't that bad, but, it's just, but then again, he had the T13 of the Valero. So, I think I'm weighing too much sometimes when it comes to strength of field, which could end up hurting me. It could end up helping me. I'm not sure. But Siwoo Kim is definitely a guy, talent-wise, that could be a top 5, top 10 guy. I don't know if he can win necessarily. I don't know if I see the winning equity with him, but certainly a top 10 or a top 25 would pay off the price. So
if he was top 10, do you know what his at this point? Again, it could change, and I wasn't tracking his ownership percentage this week, so I don't know if it's gone up or down at this point. Right now, he's at 5% ownership projection.
That's really good.
That's a really good risk reward type play. Even if you just put him in 4 or 5 lineups out of like 20.
Yeah.
Get a guy at 5% that's got Kim's history of playing really well on the tour. I don't know. The ownership percentage is one of my final yes or no's. Right now on Siwoo Kim, it's like my first yes or no, and that shouldn't be that way, but it does kind of intrigue me a little bit. All right, I've been shouting off nonstop, my guy. So why don't you take the ball here in this top half of the 9K range? What names are jumping out at you?
Well, I will say Chris Kirk definitely intrigues me a little bit in a field like this. He feels like he's a popper, right? Like he comes out and in a smaller strength of field event he pops sometimes. So I bet him as first round leader. I think I got him at 50-1 if I get that right. Looking at my paper here, yeah. So I got him at 50-1. So I think that's a great number for Chris Kirk because generally he comes either flying out the gate or he doesn't. So I like that a lot at 50-1. But we're in the 7K range, so I mean you can't, But Scott Stallings was a guy who I was kind of intrigued with, and I'm not normally a Scott Stallings guy, but I mean recent events: T4 and a T8 at the John Deere and the Travelers. Missed the cut at the U.S. Open, the Memorial. I'm not really going to hold him to that. I mean, that's, much above his talent level. And T4 at the Charles Schwab. Again, at this price range, you only need a top 25, and he's got, 3 top 10s in his last 5 events. So talk about a popper. Scott Stallings is right under that list. And then my guy, Tom Kim. Tom Kim, I really like Tom Kim. He's been playing a lot of good golf. I think, about 60% of him last week and scared the crap out of me, but he made the cut and he ended up finishing T26, so I was good with it. I did have
there were a lot of people popping on Kim last week, and I was pre-typing up the tweets right before he didn't miss the cut. Like, you guys are all screwed because I was off of him last week, and then I'm glad I didn't hit send on that because that would have just everybody would have called me out on that one like right away.
I was so mad when he hit it on the water on 18 on Sunday because I had him at top 20 and I had Hayden Buckley top 40. A nice little double there. And then I said, as long as Tom Kim doesn't hit it in the water on 18, I'm going to hit this bet. Sure enough, goes right in the water. Ended up double bogeying and finishing T26. So that was fantastic.
Yeah, that's exactly how you want it working out.
But yeah, I mean, I think in terms of the top 7Ks, I think that's kind of where I stand. I don't know about Streelman. I'm curious on your thoughts about him because he was a guy I used to be high on, but I don't know.
He's a guy that I'm kind of the same way. He's on my list as a question mark. Obviously, he hasn't played since the Barbasol where he finished second.
Yeah.
So he's got 3. He made the last 3 cuts he played, but he missed a couple cuts before that, the Memorial and Schwab. You can't count anybody's made cut or missed cut at the PGA this year because of the weather swing there that week. Streelman's a guy I think in this weaker field that can play well. The problem with Streelman is ownership, and he's dropped from 9% down to 6% so far in the last 24 hours. So to me, I almost like that. You're giving me a guy that, where is his stats here? he's a good ball, really good ball striker. 15th last 36 rounds in this field. Good on the shorter holes. He's really good at drive. He's a really good driver of the golf ball. Really solid on approach. I mean, I want to like Kevin Streelman a lot this week, but I'm like you. I'm kind of torn a little bit whether I do want to play him. And then you look at Kevin Streelman, and you go a couple $100, or even $100 down to Troy Merritt or Scott Stallings at the same price. Scott Stallings is going to have a much higher ownership, but I almost want to like Stallings and Merritt more than Streelman. But I've always been a Streelman kind of guy, so especially in the weaker field. So I don't know. I'm up in the air still at that point. I actually hope that you had swayed me one way or the other on him.
Yeah, no, I got nothing, man. I was hoping you would do the same thing for me. So
that almost tells me that if we're both stuck on that it might mean don't play the game.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of where I was leaning, but I mean, like, we keep talking about this word popper, or at least I do, and that's Streelman. He's a popper. So
you got Streelman at 7,700. That's 6.2%. Then you got Matt Kuchar at 7,500. That's at 6.6%. And I mean, Kuchar, he's got a second and a third, and he's got a bunch of 30th and 40th place. Hasn't missed a cut since the Players, and that could have been the luck of the draw.
Yeah, that could have been the weather there.
It's too long ago for me to remember whether he had the luck of the draw. I almost would take a chance on a guy like Kuchar. Some of those older grinders, I like Stuart Stink, like way down at the bottom too. It's almost like I'd rather a grinder that I know is going to make the cut and could pop and finish in the top 10. Streelman, to me, he's going to be 20th to 30th. He might miss the cut, but he's not going to finish above top 20.
Yeah, I agree. And an interesting thing that you brought up, Matt Kuchar, I was looking at DraftKings Sportsbook tonight. He's matched up against Davis Riley. Davis Riley is minus 120 over Matt Kuchar. I've never clicked a matchup so fast in my life. Like, I love Matt Kuchar, that he's a grinder, but against Davis Riley, that just doesn't seem like a fair matchup to me. I don't know if the books are trying to trick me again or what, but it was minus 130. So I mean, like, I don't know. I just thought that was a really weird matchup to have. But
for the tournament or for round one?
For tournament. I don't know. Maybe I thought about it too quickly.
Maybe I'm too much on this whole Davis Riley thing as peaked. Maybe that's actually.
Oh, yeah, you're the wrong guy to bring this up with, aren't you?
I mean, Jason was on that point last week as well, and maybe the books are on it too. If it seemed like, I really truly believe if a bet seems too good to be true,
yeah,
sometimes it really is. I really am starting to firmly believe that. Max Homa started it with me, and now I'm really starting to really lean heavily into that theory there. Look, they're all theories. We all have our own theories on how we do it. I mean, I don't know. Let me see here real quick. What is Kuchar 70? He's never played here before. Davis Riley's never played here before, so there's no tournament course history or anything like that to look at. I don't know. I don't think it's a bad bet for overall outcome. I just think Kuchar's ceiling to floor is so wide. Davis Riley, I don't think Davis Riley can win. I don't.
Well, I don't need him to win, so
you don't need him to win. But I don't have that bet. I'm just thinking of value on the tournament play. Riley's 8,600, Kuchar's at 7,500. Huge difference in ownership percentage. It's a no-brainer for me in that aspect. That aspect of it right there.
Yeah, I just thought it was an interesting matchup that I wanted to bring up because I saw that and I was like,
actually, I'm very intrigued, and I need to track this now. I'm not going to bet it. Sorry, I won't do it. But I'm very, very intrigued on how that plays out for you there, for sure. All right, I got a question for you.
All right.
Very interesting question, the 7K range. Let me get on my things. All right, 4.6% owned. Guy has made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of his last 7 cuts. It's only 7,300. That would typically be, all right, not a bad option. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I'm trying to figure it out.
Is Ricky Fowler back enough?
Oh,
where
God.
Where 7,300 and 4% ownership is worth it. Third on par 5 scoring, second 125 to 150 proximity. I'm not saying I'm playing him. This is a question I want to 38th last week, 47th miscut, 64th, 57th, 23rd, 21st. So he's got 2 top 25s in his last 7 events. Got only 1 miscut. It's a weak field. Is Ricky Fowler back enough for those that bet name value? Is he back? And hold on, let's add it. He's played this event all 3 years. He's made the cut all 3 years. He's got a 12th in 2020, along with a 32nd and a 46. Ricky Fowler back. I gotta ask you. Ricky Fowler fell, and he fell far. I think he fell harder than Jordan Spieth did.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Jordan Spieth at least was able to come back. Ricky Fowler is still trying to figure it out. I can't play Ricky this week, and it's not because I don't think he can do it. It's because last week I watched him in my best lineup, in my 50-cent mini max lineup. He was the guy that I needed to make the cut, and he scared the crap out of me throughout Friday's round. He had the double bogey on 9, and I thought that was it. He's done. And he squeaked in by, I think, 1 or 2 strokes. But then once he got in the cut, he couldn't make a birdie. I mean, I watched his Sunday round because I was in the top 300 of 93,000 entries. So all I really needed was Ricky Fowler to get, 3-4 birdies, and I would have been happy. He had 2 the whole day on 3M Open. So the thing I worry about with Ricky Fowler is on a course like this where we know it's a birdie fest, is he going to be able to keep up with guys who are just dropping it down from 20 feet? Because Ricky Fowler seems like he can't hit a putt outside of 10. So that's where I kind of sit with Ricky Fowler after, and obviously that's just based off of last week because I was watching him last week, but I don't know. I don't know about his birdie or better. He hasn't had more than 12 birdies since the Charles Schwab where he had 14. And before that, he hadn't had 14 since the Honda Classic. So he's not going to be a fantasy scorer.
Let me tell you something. In my model, last 36 rounds, he's 91st in my model. 95th birdies or better. 115th par 3, par 4s 350 to 400. 105 putting. 136 good drive. 73rd shots gained total. 65th on approach. He does the 125 to 150. He's second in the field, and he's third in the field on par 5 scoring. So he's not playing great. I'm just looking at Ricky Fowler. What's it going to take for people to get back? I mean, 4% owned, 7,300. I wonder what his first round leader number is. I'm intrigued. Anyway.
You can't talk me into that one. I've got too much personal stuff going on from last week with him.
All right, I got 2 other names of golfers. I'm still not sure what my investment level is going to be on them this week.
All right.
I've already bet them both to be outright. Okay.
And
both of them used to be guys that only played one time a year when they were in, well, not one time, one type of tournament. Super weak fields that were birdie fests. That's the only time I ever touched them. Now I kind of, in my mind, I think they're different types of golfers now. Okay. Especially one specifically. I bet one guy 100 to 1, one guy 80 to 1. The one guy 100 to 1 that I bet, he's just a different golfer in my mind. He's got a 7th, he's got a 16th, made his first cut at a major event this year. Didn't have a great finish, but he made the cut. It's Wyndham Clark.
Yep.
We're at these kind of events. He was always a play, but now I kind of think that Wyndham Clark's upside, because he's playing better golf, one of these weak events, he might actually be able to win.
Yep, that was my first click bet this week.
Really?
Wyndham Clark was my first click bet this week. I was looking. I listened to one podcast and I heard, "Hey, this is the course that you can bomb it anywhere, and you got to make birdies." And the first golfer that came to my mind was Wyndham Clark. And sure enough, I see him in the field and I see him at 100 to 1. So I just said, thank you very much, and tapped that and went with it. So that's one of my triple-digit bets that I've got in right now. I only put in 3. That might go up or down depending on how my other bets do in MLB this week. But, Wyndham Clark just fits the mold. I bet you he'll drop to 80-1 before the tournament starts because I think a lot of people are on him. And it's for the exact reason that he's playing great golf right now. And this course kind of fits him really well. So I'm right there with you there.
All right, so there's another guy I bet him at 80-1. And he was literally Clark and this guy, kind of the same exact description. He's missed more cuts this year than Wyndham Clark, but he's got a 6th, a 10th, a 16th, a 21st, and a 27th, plus 3 missed cuts. So his last 10 events, he's either missed the cut or finished in the top 27, 3 times top 16. That's Alex Smalley. I think he's a different golfer. And that's not even going all the way back to his second in Punta Cana, week Birdie Fest field, or the Mexico Open where he finished 6th, week Birdie Fest field. The guy loves weak fields, and he's starting to play better. I mean, the Scottish Open wasn't a weak field. He got 10th in that. RBC Canadian is not a super weak field. 21st there. He's starting to get a little bit better. And at 80-1, I'm a big fan of Smalley. I mean, I'm more of a fan of Wyndham Clark. But Smalley is basically the same type of guy. I mean, 25th in my model, 21st on approach, 17th total shots gained, 30th in that super short 100 to 125 window, 14th ball striker, 29th on good drives gained. I mean, he's a terrible putter. He might be last place in putting. I don't know. How many guys are in this field? He was 139. So, so he's almost last place in putting. But Alex Smalley, right there with Wyndham Clark for me this week.
Yeah, no, I really hadn't looked too closely at Smalley until you just mentioned him now. He does have some great finishes, but like you said, he's a very volatile guy, right? Like it's either a top 25 or it's a miscut. He missed a cut at the Valero, which is kind of spooky to me because it's a birdie fest. But, he's turned it around these last couple of events. He made his last, 3 or 4, I think.
Think of it this way, okay?
Yeah.
With what you're saying about Wyndham Clark and everybody jumping on be 10% owned.
Yeah.
Alex Smalley, 6% owned. Big difference right there.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know as much about Smalley as I do about Wyndham Clark, so I can't really say too much about him. But the recent results do show me that he would definitely be worth the top 20. I don't know if I would bet him outright just yet, but definitely worth the top 20.
Surprised his number was lower because at 80-1 versus Clark's 100-1. I really won't lie. I thought both of them would be 100-1.
Yeah.
Or over 100-1. Smalley being 80-1. Maybe I got him too late. Maybe he was 81, and some people bet him, and that's why he fell to 81. I'm not sure, but you got any of these other names? Because I've got question marks next to, Stuart Sink, Taryn again, who played really well last week outside of one round. Adam Schenk's always a guy in weak fields that I always gravitate towards. Any of those guys do anything for you?
All right. I know I said I hated Ricky Fowler from last week from not being able to make birdies. There's one guy that I hated more, and that is Chris Gotterup. Okay, because that man was 28% owned and was shooting, I think he was +4 through 9 holes on Friday. And I went, holy crap, he's going to miss the cut. That's going to be amazing. Came back, made the cut on the number, and ended up finishing like T30. And I was so pissed because I know at least half the guys that were ahead of me in the 50 cent mini max had Chris Gotterup because he was 28% owned. And man, I'm very curious to see what his ownership is this week because he probably scared the crap out of people after round 1 last week. But
you'll be surprised. What was he, like 600% last week owned? He's still over 14%. He's at 14.2% before the show.
And I feel like a lot of it is from the T4 at John Deere, and I don't know.
He's a full fade for me last week. He's a full fade for me this week. I just can't get behind a guy at his price, at his level, unless you're telling me he's 5% owned. I'm not. There's no chance I can play a guy like him.
I would rather play Wyndham Clark or Joel Damon down here rather than.
No offense, don't take this the wrong way. It got her up at 14.2% at 7,400. I'd rather play Ricky Fowler at 7,300 at 4%.
I get it. Ricky Fowler's consistent at least, just
At
doesn't
least-
make
at
a lot
least-
of birdies.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Anything in the 6K range? Because it's a really weak 6K range in my opinion this week.
All right.
Even
I'm gonna give out one of my favorite bets this week, and he's in the 6K range, and it's Hayden Buckley.
Ooh, okay. He was not in mine, but okay.
Hayden Buckley is $6,900 on DraftKings, but outright, I got him at 200 to 1.
Nice.
Now,
love it.
Normally, with the guy 200 to 1, you're like, oh, this is a guy who has either never played on the PGA Tour before, or he's like a Davis Love II and has zero chance of winning. Hayden Buckley's shooting or his ball striking numbers have actually been really good lately. He's a rookie who's starting to look a little bit more comfortable on the tour. His recent results have been really good. I bet him last week top 40. I think he finished T26 if I'm remembering. Yeah, T26 at the 3M. And he's just posting consistent numbers. Like he's making the cut. He had T14 at the U.S. Open.
I'm just looking at that now. I'm like, what the hell? How did he finish 14th?
He was T14 at the U.S. Open, and he's 200 to 1 to win in this field.
Damn.
200 to 1. So, I didn't place a lot on him, but I put $2 to win 400. I mean, the guy, he's a ball striker, and he can make birdies. In his last 3 events, he's made more birdies than Ricky Fowler has made in his last, 30 events. So, I really like Hayden Buckley. He's a guy that's a birdie bogey kind of guy. Like, he'll kind of spook you a little bit along the way, but the birdies come, and I really like him at that number. So he's my favorite 6K play. And then I threw Aaron Baddeley in just because
that was my guy last week. Everybody laughed.
If people are just going to dive to a low 6K guy, let's just make it a guy who consistently makes a cut and gets T45.
Let me see. Let me see. He's even worse this week. He's at 6,200. He dropped. Last week he was 6,300. And so I even posted a picture last week. All the 0.5% guys, I'm the guy that plays him because I had him in 4 lineups last week. I loved him last week. Aaron Baddeley and Sean O'Hare. They're my cheap guys every week that they're in the field. That I always love them because actually these guys they're not the winners that they never won really. But Baddeley at one point was a hot up and comer on the PGA Tour. When Ricky, when you were 2 years old, he was a hot up and comer on the PGA Tour. Aaron Baddeley. I mean, I did it last week. I brought it up. Hold on, let me do it now. He won 2. Aaron Baddeley's got 4 wins in his career. People don't realize that. He's got 1, 2, 3. He's got 4 second place finishes in his career. So he won the Genesis in 2011.
Crazy.
A really tough event. He finished 4th at the Travelers one year. I mean, he's got some really good finishes on his card. The Sony Open in Hawaii. Isn't that the Tournament of Champions? He almost won that one year. Okay? So.
You want to hear a crazy fact here? Aaron Baddeley scored more fantasy points last week than Ricky Fowler did.
Damn.
Aaron Baddeley scored more than Ricky. If I had Aaron Baddeley over Ricky Fowler in my lineup, I probably would have won an extra $1. It's crazy. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to come out in, top 25 and, destroy the field, but he so consistently makes the cut. I don't know if this field is necessarily one that I absolutely love him in like I did last week, but I mean, he's consistent and that's what excites me about him. But I also really like Callum Tarrant there at 7-1. I know we skipped over him.
Yeah, no, I like him a lot this week. Outside of his 3rd round last week, he had a really good tournament. And he will guarantee be on my card this week. Look, in the 6K range, JG Spawn, Lucas Glover, they both have good tournament history. Doc Redman, I've heard a few people talk about him. I can't get behind it, but maybe. But Aaron Baddeley and Sean O'Hare again. I know Sharon O'Hare missed the cut last week, but he still
almost made it.
He almost made it. He missed it on the number. He gained almost 2 strokes putting. He gained a stroke off the tee. He's made a lot of cuts this year. For a guy that used to be good, that's 6,300. Give me Sean O'Hare in 2 lineups this week. Because again, when you check if you're in the $1 max, the short game, and you see 0.2% ownership on Sean O'Hare and 0.3% ownership on Aaron Badley. Guess who's the guy that 0.3%? It's this guy right here. This guy right here.
There he is.
That's the difference between winning and losing in fantasy. If you're doing the mass GPPs, you got to find one random gem that not just makes the cut, that does okay. I mean, Sean O'Hare had an 8th place finish 2 events ago. The Barbasol, 8th place. You get somebody like that, whether it's Badley, O'Hare, whether it's Buckley, whoever it may be. You get that guy at that low ownership, that's how you win. That's how you win an event. So, that's all I got this week.
All right, just tosses the card away. Doesn't need it.
Do you have any other bets that you didn't mention yet? Because I think I mentioned all 5 of mine. Kisner, 35, Tagala, 40, Henley, 55, Smalley, 80, Clark, 100. That's all I got right now on my card.
The only one I didn't mention was Callum Tarrant at 100-1 outright.
You had Tarum, you had Clark, and who else did you have that are 100? 3 digits?
I've got Buckley at 200-1, Clark at 100-1, Callum Tarrant at 100-1. So lot of long shots this week. I've also got Tarrant and Clark top 20. Clark's plus 350 to be top 20, and Callum Tarrant plus 400. I like those guys. And then Wyndham Clark, Kirk Tringale, Cam Davis for first round leader.
Gotcha. All right. Again, real quick, Ricky, why don't you shout out the website you write for and all your social media handles and all that kind of stuff for me real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. So my boy D Prodigy's got his website up. I'll put the link in my Twitter description. Follow me at Fantasy Talk Show. I'll be sure to be live tweeting as the tournament goes, especially if any of my long shots are chasing the leaderboard. I might do a little "I told you so," guys. Make sure we follow the stream here. Obviously, I'm just really happy to be out here and be talking golf with you. Appreciate you having me on the show tonight. It was great fun.
Absolutely. Again, Ricky Whittier at Fantasy Talk Show. Much appreciate you coming back on again. We'll make sure it won't happen from April till late July. The difference again. Maybe we'll get you on again. Hey, I don't know when the last time we had 3 people on the show, but next time Jason's on, maybe the 3 of us we'll do a threesome show here. We got the playoffs coming up soon, so we got lots going on, and the BMW is going to be right down the street from my house. We might do some live streaming from the BMW. I don't know.
There you go.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right.
We'll see what happens there. All in. Final comment, Ricky. You got to pick one guy. If you had to have, originally, you've talked me out of Kevin Kisner, my all-in guy. Who's your all-in guy this week? Bets, most clicks, everything, all in. You got to pick one guy.
Wyndham Clark, baby. Let's ride.
I love it. You know what? He might be my all-in play now too. I might back you on that, and then next week we'll both be broke.
Nah, we're gonna be rich, bro. We're gonna be rich.
Hey, let's just not go all in the same tournament, so we both don't have to split the first place prize. That's all that matters.
That's right, man.
All right, everybody, thank you very much for tuning in again. A great episode of Fairway to Heaven. Again, if you're watching this on replay on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button. We greatly appreciate that there on the DSM Media Network. If you're watching on any other platforms, make sure you follow us, retweet it, share it, all those different kind of things. Whatever you do on Twitch, I don't know. Just do it for us to help spread the word. We greatly appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow morning, DSM Media for Trending in the AM. I don't know what we're talking about. If the Phillies won tonight, I don't know. I haven't watched the Phillies game, so I don't know. We'll see what we're talking about. Everybody have a great night. Again, make sure you follow my man Ricky here. And, Wyndham Clark, all in, baby.
Let's go, guys.